On the morning the story broke, the headlines were short and loud. A young university student charged in a bank heist that moved millions of shillings. But underneath the quick take and the court docket was a deeper, darker question. How does a 20-year-old end up accused of siphoning nearly 8 million shillings from commercial bank accounts? The answer, the prosecution says, it starts with a single night, complex transfers, and a trail that investigators followed into a student's bank account. According to the charge sheet, the alleged crime took place on January 11, 2025. Prosecutors say that, acting with people still at large, the accused used digital access to move 7,882,845 Kenyan shillings from several Sidian Bank accounts into a Diamond Trust bank account that investigators traced to him. That sum, nearly 8 million shillings, is the number that turned an ordinary court day into a national story. How do investigators claim it happened? The picture painted by the prosecution is of a coordinated cyber theft. Funds siphoned from different customer accounts, consolidated into a single endpoint account, and quickly redistributed in ways meant to hide the original source. Court documents outline specific transfers, for example, alleged payouts of 300,000 Kenyan shillings to one named individual and 169,000 Kenyan shillings to an M-Pesa number. Moves the state says were intended to launder the proceeds and break the paper trail. Those are the transactions that turned a large, abstract number into real, traceable cash. When the accused first appeared in court at Milimani Law Courts, the public saw a student in the dock, calm, denying guilt, and pleading not guilty to a string of serious charges: conspiracy to defraud, stealing, and acquisition of proceeds of crime under the anti-money laundering laws. The magistrate set bail at 200,000 Kenyan shillings and scheduled a pre-trial mention. Those routine court details are ordinary only until you imagine the life behind them. Tuition, family, late nights in the computer lab, and now a headline linking a young name to organised cybercrime. This case did not arise in isolation. Kenya's financial system has faced an increasing tide of digital attacks in recent years, and authorities say banks and mobile platforms are prime targets. Analysts point out that as banking goes digital, the attack surface grows. Login credentials, internal systems, payment rails, all of it becomes a potential vulnerability for someone who knows where to look. The government and regulators have responded with investigations and warnings, but cases like the one now before the court show just how quickly money can move in and out when systems are breached. There are two ways to tell this story. One is the technical play-by-play. Packets, exploits, access credentials, and logs. The other, and the one that matters for most listeners, is human. Who is accused, what the evidence alleges he did, and what it means for families, for banks, and for young people with technical skills. The prosecution's narrative ties the accused directly to the DTB account that received the consolidated funds, and to subsequent transfers described as dispersals, or layering steps intended to obscure the origin. That chain, money from customer accounts to an account tied to a student, then out into other hands, is the spine of the government's case. But be careful here. Allegations are not convictions. The accused has entered a not guilty plea and maintains he has been unfairly linked to a sophisticated cybercrime. Defense lawyers in cases like this often attack the forensic trail, question chain of custody for digital evidence, and probe whether accounts used to receive funds were in fact controlled by the defendant or by others. The court's job will be to evaluate the digital forensics, banking records, witness statements, and the credibility of the investigative process. Until then, the legal presumption remains: accused, not proven guilty. Still, this single case forces a broader conversation. Young people across East Africa are learning IT and cybersecurity skills earlier than previous generations. Some of these skills are being channeled into legal careers, startups, and defensive cyber work. But when job markets and formal hiring don't absorb that talent, there's risk. Highly capable tech minds, limited legal opportunities, and the temptation of shortcuts. Experts warn that without clear pathways into legitimate IT careers, both private and public sectors may lose the very talent they need to protect systems. The integrity of the banking sector depends not only on better technology, but also on stronger talent pipelines and lawful employment options for skilled youth. What happens next in court will be technical and procedural, subpoenas for logs, testimony from bank IT specialists, forensic accountants, and perhaps evidence from the Directorate of Criminal Investigation's cyber units. Expect the state to present transaction records, timestamps, IP addresses, and relocation of funds. Expect the defense to argue about attribution. Did the accused control the accounts, or did someone else use his details? Attribution in cyber cases is notoriously difficult, and that difficulty is often the center of the high-profile defenses. For the public, the story lands like this: a headline, an arrest, and a cycle of fear and fascination. For a family, the impact is raw: a student's future on hold, reputations at risk, legal bills, and long pre-trial months. For banks, it's a reputational hit and another reminder that fraud can ripple into customer trust and regulatory scrutiny. For policymakers, it's a call to strengthen both technical defenses and the social supports that channel technical talent into legitimate work. For the tech community, it's a prompt to build training, internships, and clear ethical paths so that skill doesn't become a liability. If you're listening and you work in cybersecurity, financial services, or government, there are concrete lessons here. Invest in logging and detection, speed up incident response, harden internal controls, and create legal, rewarding career paths for technical youth. If you're a student with skills, consider apprenticeships, bug bounty programs, and ethical hacking certifications that tie your talent to real employment rather than risk. And if you're a viewer on social media, remember this: high-profile allegations can spread faster than facts. Let the courts do their work and reserve judgment until evidence is tested in public and in court. The charges are serious, the sum is large, the questions are many, but in the end, this will be decided by documentation, testimony, and forensic clarity. Until then, watch how the legal process unfolds, watch how investigators present their proofs, and watch how a society chooses to turn technical talent into protection rather than risk. This case is more than a headline. It's a crossroads between youthful skill and responsible opportunity, between digital vulnerability and institutional resilience. The outcome will matter far beyond one courtroom.